Sure. So last year, I think we were like sort of starting to plant some personalization seeds and, you know, trying out what kind of worked for us. And this year, we've sort of hit the ground running, and we re-platformed our website about a year ago. And our big focus as part of that was making sure that we had the resources and the tools to actually start personalizing for everyone who comes to our site. So part of that was building out a beauty profile for every client that captures hair color, eye color, skin type, favorite categories, you know, shades that she's liking. And that allowed us to basically serve up and sort of promote some of those categories and products for that client when she's visiting our website at any given time. And that's just sort of a baseline of personalization that we've started ramping up this year. For people that we might know a little bit less about, you know, first-time visitors or non-purchasers. And then something else that has sort of allowed us to personalize at scale is dynamic sorting rules and personalization in terms of recommendations. So basically, as she's browsing or clicking and purchasing, we're able to re-merchandise the website based on her perceived interests. So every recommendation that you see from homepage down to the cart level and even order confirmation page will look different depending on your user behavior, as well as every category page on site, which has really allowed us to see, you know, some conversion lifts and make that experience feel not only different every time she's coming to us, but different for every user and kind of what they're looking for in their journey.
That's great. Val, you're in a similar business, right? So how about, how is it working for Teadora?
Yeah, so we're a very small company, startup, and the approach that we took to personalization goes from shopping experience all the way to out-of-the-box experience. And so it starts with the fact that we utilize technology to inform product development. So we created a survey that customers answer on our website that allows them to input interests that they have in future products coming from us. And we utilize that to develop products. We developed our first product last year that was fully focused on feedback from customers, and we plan on doing that more and more. That included anything from what the product was to the packaging of the product and even the naming of the product. And then, you know, at the back end, I mean, unboxing experience was always something that was near and dear to my heart because I think that customers want to connect with the people who are behind the brand. And that's what my background was about. And so, you know, they get a personalized note from us, you know, every time they shop. And we change the note on a quarterly basis, depending on, you know, what the season of the year is or whatever. But there's always a note from myself in there. And I know that those are things that, you know, are hard to scale sometimes, but that they can be very easily scalable through process. And that's something that we plan on continuing, and that we get notes from customers over and over saying, thank you for your note. Another thing that we do in terms of personalization, we know on an ongoing basis who our top purchasers are, and we send them not only special discounts, but also even Christmas cards to let them know that we appreciate them.
Wow, that's a little note in there. That takes a lot of time and effort, but I guess it's working. Dennis, you're not in the beauty business, but but you have a beautiful price for your product. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we launched our company Cut Golf because we're avid golfers and we were sick and tired of losing expensive golf balls personally. I will go and probably lose anywhere from 4 to 8 golf balls on a good day in a round, and that adds up. So we decided to take our frustrations to launch this company. We launched about 2 years ago, and at that point in time, we kind of just did it out of a garage, out of Sam's garage, my business partner and the founder. And from there, we started growing the company and the brand, and we started getting more and more traction and adoption because people clearly also aligned with us on the value proposition. When we started getting and growing the company a little bit more, we started getting inquiries about tournaments first and foremost, and then some companies also wanted a cheaper alternative to their customized logo golf balls, and that's actually how we got into customization. was not something that we originally offered, but just customers reaching out to us asking, hey, would you guys be willing to customize and print golf balls for us? Little do we know, customized golf balls actually accounts for about a quarter of all golf balls sold in the US. So that was actually a very big untapped market and service added that we weren't really addressing until now. We started using a third-party printer to help us with the demand that we're getting, and we're looking to invest capital into actually doing it in-house, which will be more cost-effective and it will allow us to do in a more timely manner for our customers. So expanding beyond the charity and events and company customizations, this past holiday season, we were very fortunate to get featured on to Today's Show and Live with Kelly and Ryan for the holiday seasons. And one of the biggest question that was asked by basically everybody on a daily basis was, do you guys customize golf balls? More so for personalized gifts. And that was something that we had to address and pivot very quickly with our printer that we were using. So that was a very big untapped market that we had to expand upon, was customization for golf balls that we weren't addressing up front. So we're really excited to be able to offer that moving forward this year. We're working with the right partners for the printing setup to be able to roll that out moving forward.
Excellent. Wow. Did you bring me a personalized golf ball? Did you forget?
We can make you one.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Kellen, I wondered if you have any measurement metrics to share that show that the personalization works for you.
Yeah, so I think something that we've found to be really valuable is looking at client lifetime value across the board, but specifically for our loyalty clients and some of our top tier VIP clients. So obviously those groups of people we know a little bit more about, and we're personalizing at a pretty deep level for them across all of our channels. And we've seen that lifetime value for those groups of clients is about 40% higher than our base. And right now, loyalty makes up about 20% of our total base, but they're making up around 45% of the revenue. So we've seen that, the relationship that we've built with these people over time, just by sort of reiterating their loyalty status, their benefits, promoting certain affinity categories that we know, they're interested in. We've seen that, over the course of the year since the loyalty program has launched, that's driven a huge amount of value for us, and we're hoping to kind of continue to scale that and hope that, the percent of revenue is strong over time.
Yeah, I hope so too. How about you, Val?
For us, it's about customer retention rate. Mm-hmm. So we're at about 55%, which for enterprise and software is really low, but for the consumer business is really high. In fact, I think average consumer retention rates online are 38%, 25%, and for the beauty industry, it's about 38%. And so I think that reflects some of the care and attention that we put into customizing experiences.
How about social media? Are you on social media, Dennis?
That's how we launched the company.
That's how you launch. Okay. What are you using? Facebook in particular, or
primarily Instagram?
Instagram,
because it's just the tangible aspect of just a picture. I guess the 6-second rule, right? The ADHD that society is plagued with nowadays is you look at a picture, digest it, and you move on.
So. I can hardly do 6 seconds myself, but I have attention deficit or something. Kellen, I think use a lot of Facebook, right?
Yeah, so right now we're really focusing on sort of bringing some of the loyalty and VIP customization or personalization into our paid social channels. And we started a little bit smaller, so something that our loyalty vendor, CrowdTwist, is allowing us to do is incentivizing some of those social engagements and interactions just as much as a purchase activity. So we know that we sort of had this really broad audience of people who are spending a little bit more with us. They might be a little bit older, but we also have this really young audience that is super socially engaged. They're acting as ambassadors for us, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. And we thought really hard about how we can incentivize and reward those people who are acting as ambassadors for us, even though they might not be spending as much. So something that we focused on is bringing in loyalty personalization into the social channels. So if we know that she's a loyalty client and, you know, we know what tier she's in, we're able to personalize all of her Facebook messaging right now. Every time she's like posting an image and tagging us on Instagram or using a hashtag on Instagram, we're also awarding points to her. So that sort of allowed us to bring some of that loyalty and top tier experiences that we were able to scale on site and bring those into the social channels for those clients that are really active there that may not be coming to us, you know, every month and purchasing something.
Okay, you're nodding your head there, Val. I guess you're doing something similar?
Well, no.
Okay.
Well, we
Good
are
idea,
on social
so.
media. I think you just have to be. I think the only thing that we found a little different that we're doing on social media is that we utilize that database that we built from the surveys online to create a closed group that we utilize as our community of enthusiasts, if you will, to continue to generate product idea, to tap into them when we're developing things and ask questions, or to even send them products that we have in the lab being developed to figure out, you know, do people like it, do people don't not like it, and so that's, you know, a way that we've utilized social media a little bit differently.
Yeah, that's great. What about loyalty? Are you doing a loyalty program or?
We are actually, and I can't talk too much about it because it's not launched yet. But actually, March 21st marks our 2nd anniversary, so it's a big deal for us. We're super excited for making it to 2 years and not knowing what we're doing, and thanks, John. And actually, in coincidence with our 2nd anniversary, we're excited to launch what we're going to call the Cut Golf Club, and that's essentially our loyalty program that we're going to be offering to a lot of our customers. It's going to be, I think, a really good program. We also have an annual invitational, which is a golf tournament that will tie into the top tier of our loyalty program. For people that qualify for it, we will be giving away 1 free entry into our annual invitational. So it's a little bit of a giving back and getting the customers to engage a little bit more with us and giving them a loyalty give back.
Great. I think we have time for questions. How many people out there are doing personalization? Well, that's great. Do you have questions of our panel? Elliot.
I had a question for Kellen in terms of how you were tracking. You were talking about how you sort of reward points based on ambassadors or affiliates or someone within your loyalty program, whoever that may be, and how they're like posting on social. How do you sort of like actually scale that? Like what? And I know that's sort of a tactical question, but like what sort of platforms do you use to make sure you're like tracking those mentions? Because it's like a really good idea in principle, but it's actually, at least for us, we found that to be difficult to keep track of all of those posts and how much the frequency of people are talking about, what the like sentiment analysis is. So yeah, would love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I have to plug CrowdTwist here. They're our loyalty vendor, and they're also in attendance if anyone wants to get introduced to them. But basically, all of our loyalty members are connected on their social platforms, and you can choose sort of what platform you're connected on. But if you're connected on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it might be, we're able to basically pull reports and see how many times the total loyalty member list is completing a certain interaction. So it could be like a hashtag that we want to look up. It could be uploading a user-generated content like image, or we can see like at the member level, like how many times, you know, Sam from like Kansas has used this hashtag or mentioned us on Twitter. So we're able to sort of pull these like macro reports and see like which hashtags people are using, but also look at like the member level to say like, okay, let's drill down into, you know, our tier 3 of loyalty, which is like top tier, and see like, are they using these like hashtags as well on social, or is this like, you know, tier 1 people who might not be like spending as much. So that's one way that you can kind of, you know, keep track of like some of that social activity going on. And then we also store a lot of that information as like a field in our ESP, so we can see, you know, if you're connected on Instagram, like what your handle is, like what your last activity might be, like how many followers you might have. So something that we've done as sort of like a cross-section of social engagement and loyalty is taking, people that our social team is familiar with, that they see engaging on social channels a lot, and then also anyone who's connected through our loyalty program who might have like a certain number of followers. And we've done something similar where we've created like a private Facebook group and invited those people to interact and sort of talk to each other, and we use them as like a sounding board for some of the social content that we're rolling out, but also like new products that we're launching, certain marketing campaigns, like getting their feedback on that. So we try and like strike a balance between some of that really large scale and like measuring some of those macro trends with like a really niche, like exclusive group with something like a private Facebook group.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. One of the hot topics when we do our email insider summit, which is almost all about personalization, is the levels of personalization that when you hit diminishing returns. What levels of personalization really are necessary, and how much, and at what point do you start seeing diminishing returns from your efforts, or where the levels of personalization don't justify the cost? Things like dynamic content insertion within messaging and things like that. Have any of you reached that threshold where you've recognized we can do this too much and it just doesn't matter to our users? They don't want that much personalization?
I think, we've seen it plateau a little bit for on-site personalization, and I think it's more so because, it's such an inherent experience, and, you may not be recognizing that a certain category page is actually tailored to you. So I think we launched it fairly early, and now it's sort of the expectation that, what she's seeing is relevant to her. So we definitely saw, an uptick in conversion when we first launched that, and now, it's sort of plateaued a little bit. And that's not to say that we would stop doing, that level of personalization, but I think now for on-site, at least, we're looking for sort of that next level where potentially like we're reskinning the site for like someone who's a VIP, and I'll make this up, but like everything's gold and like there's stars everywhere, to like really kind of acknowledge and be really overt about the fact that we recognize who she is and we're personalizing that experience. But I do think, some of that like dynamic sorting has hit a little bit of a wall for us, but I think we're still seeing a really great return for those types of things in email. So like when we're reskinning the email template for every batch email that goes out the door based on what loyalty tier she is, we're still seeing those well overperform like what we would do on a daily basis.
No. Haven't seen.
Yeah, same here. We just started getting into it. And I think just from what we offer, I don't really foresee us having diminishing marginal returns, just because the demand is so strong for customized golf balls that it's a matter of, can we keep up with that growing demand as a small company growing?
Well, Nina, panel. Oh, did we have another? Sorry. Nina, panel, thanks very much. We're going to do the